Welcome to Generative AI Futures, brought to you by Goose AI. So today we are plunging into one of the most fundamental challenges in modern AI. We're talking about training large language models to handle true complex reasoning. Advanced math, multi-step logic.
Right. And for so long, the barrier to entry for that kind of training has just been, well, the cost has been astronomical. The memory requirements are explosive.
Which usually involves reinforcement learning, right?
Exactly. But that entire landscape is being reshaped by, really, a single algorithmic breakthrough. And that's what we're going to dig into today. Group Relative Policy Optimization, or GRPO.
GRPO.
This algorithm from DeepSeek-AI, it fundamentally solves that resource bottleneck. It lets these smaller open models achieve reasoning that you used to need the biggest proprietary models for.
And it does this by taking out a major component of the traditional RL stack.
A huge memory hog, yeah.
So this deep dive is really about understanding not just what GRPO did, but how it works. We're going to unpack the efficiency gains, look at its success in math, and then follow the research to see how the newer variants are solving the next set of problems.
And the core idea here for you, for anyone invested in open source AI, is this. GRPO is a super efficient, super effective variant of Proximal Policy Optimization, or PPO. It's just laser focused on reasoning, and it slashes computational overhead because it completely eliminates the need for a separate critic model.
Okay, let's unpack that. That difference is the absolute root of the efficiency gain, isn't it?
It's everything.
GRPO's origin story is really in competitive math from that DeepSeek-Math paper in early 2024. And the goal seemed almost revolutionary. Take a pretty small 7 billion parameter model and get it to rival massive models like Minerva 540B, even get close to GPT-4.
And the thing preventing that was always the cost of traditional RL. I mean, PPO, which has been the workhorse for years, needs two huge neural networks running at the same time. You have the policy model, which generates the answer, and then the critic model.
The value model. Okay, so remind us why you even need that critic model in the first place, because this is the part GRPO just throws out.
Right, so the critic's job in standard PPO is absolutely essential. It has to estimate the expected reward from any given state. It's basically telling you what a baseline good action is worth.
Okay.
And we use that baseline to compute the advantage function. That's the critical feedback. It tells the policy model, hey, that action you just took was X amount better or worse than average.
So that's what guides the update.
That's what guides the whole thing. But running that second massive critic model, I mean, you're effectively doubling your memory footprint. It's prohibitive for most teams.
So if GRPO gets rid of the critic model, what is it using for a baseline? If you don't have that dedicated estimator, what are you even comparing your action against?
And that is the beautiful memory-saving hack. GRPO estimates that baseline not from some globally trained model, but from the group scores themselves.
Within the batch.
Within the batch, exactly. For a single prompt, you sample a bunch of outputs. GRPO just calculates the mean reward and the standard deviation of that group, and then it uses that group relative advantage to see which outputs were better than the group average.
That sounds incredibly efficient. But doesn't that introduce a ton of variance? I mean, you're relying on an average that's changing with every single batch.
It does introduce variance, but what the DeepSeek team showed, and what later research proved, is that this normalization process acts like a really powerful weighted contrastive loss.
So it's filtering.
It's a high-quality filter. By focusing only on the relative performance inside that batch, it really efficiently amplifies the policy's probability of success. It just works.
Yeah.
And it compensates for not having that global critic.
That's a powerful choice. It means if you're working with open source models, this kind of sophisticated RL is suddenly so much more accessible. You're saving all that GPU memory.
Exactly. It democratizes access to high-end reasoning.
Okay, so let's look at the payoff. What kind of performance dividend did DeepSeek actually see on those key math benchmarks?
Oh, the results were striking. By applying GRPO after their instruction tuning, the DeepSeek-Math Instruct 7B model saw huge gains, even on stuff it wasn't explicitly trained on.
Give us the numbers for the really hard competition-level problems.
Okay, so for the math dataset, which is extremely tough, performance jumped from 46.8% to 51.7%.
Wow.
And on the grade school math benchmark, GSMA-K, accuracy went from 82.9% up to 88.2%. And just to put a pin in it, this 7 billion parameter model ended up outperforming Minerva 540B, a model 77 times larger.
That one result, the small model beating the giant, that really challenges how we've all thought about LLM scaling for years. But those RL gains didn't come from nowhere. What was the foundation they built on before they even applied GRPO?
Two things really stand out. First, The base model started its life as a code model, DeepSeek Coder,
But
which was compelling evidence that training on code first significantly boosts your general mathematical and logical abilities.
so code is a kind of precursor to math reasoning.
Precisely. It builds that structural logics. And second, they used a massive, really high-quality, 120 billion token math corpus that they meticulously mined and filtered from Common Crawl. It just confirmed that data quality, not just raw model size, is absolutely critical. GRPO then amplified what that superior data already established.
Let's circle back to that RL phase.
Yeah.
Did the analysis show how GRPO was improving things? I mean, was it making the model just better at getting the perfect answer on the first try?
That's a great question, and it's a key nuance. The analysis showed RL didn't necessarily boost the single-shot pass at K capability that much.
So the raw probability of getting it right on the first shot.
Right, that didn't skyrocket.
Yeah.
Instead, what RL did was make the output distribution more robust. It boosted the major K accuracy.
And major K, for anyone who doesn't know that term.
Major K is majority at K. It means if you sample, say, 5 different answers, the majority of them are correct.
Ah, I see.
The policy isn't necessarily getting fundamentally smarter, but the RL process made its internal strategies way more reliable. It's optimizing for robustness over first-try genius.
That's fascinating. So we start with this efficient algorithm that stabilizes policy and makes small models powerful. And the GRPO creators see it as part of a family of these simplified RL techniques like DPO and RFT.
Exactly. They're all trying to cut down the complexity and cost of PPO.
But the work didn't stop there. As people pushed GRPO further, a couple of major problems popped up. Let's start with the big one, the learning cliff.
The learning cliff is a catastrophic failure mode. It happens when a model faces a problem that's just way beyond its current ability, a true hard problem. So imagine a model trying a 6-step proof. It samples a bunch of outputs, but they all fail on step 1. Every single one gets a 0 reward.
And if every output gets a 0, the group average is 0, the advantage calculation is 0.
Exactly. You get a 0 gradient, complete reward signal loss. The model gets literally no information on how to even begin that hard problem, so it just stops learning from the most valuable examples. It hits a cliff.
That sounds like a fundamental dead end. So the solution they came up with is scaffolded GRPO, or Scaf-GRPO. How does that work? How does it avoid the cliff?
Scaf-GRPO is really clever. It strategically injects these minimal hierarchical hint scaffolds into the prompt, but only for those impossible 0 reward problems.
So it's not giving away the answer.
Not at all. Instead of giving the first few steps, the scaffold might just be a high-level planning skeleton, or maybe just a list of the knowledge components you'll need.
It's like giving a struggling student the smallest possible roadmap just to get started.
That's a perfect analogy. It ensures the policy gets some kind of positive learning gradient, even on the hardest tasks, which avoids the vanishing gradient problem. And it does it with much less bias than the old methods.
And the results.
Impressive. Scaf-GRPO substantially beat the older methods by over 9% on tough benchmarks. It's a really powerful technique.
Okay, so that's the first evolution. The second one addresses a totally different kind of failure, consistency. This came up when they started applying GRPO to multimodal LLMs, right? Models using vision and language.
Yes, and they found that while the final answer accuracy was going up, maybe because of better perception, the internal reasoning chains, the step-by-step logic, was often, well, it was a mess. It lacked coherence.
Which is the danger of only rewarding the final answer. The model finds a shortcut even if the logic it uses is nonsense. That completely undermines trust.
Exactly.
And the standard GRPO reward function just looks at the final answer. Didn't they have some kind of penalty to keep the model from drifting too far from its original, more coherent self?
They did. That's the job of the KL penalty. But for these long, multi-step reasoning traces you see in multimodal problems, they found the KL penalty was actually too restrictive. It was stopping the model from exploring better, longer reasoning paths.
So the fix here is GRPO-CARE, consistency-aware reward enhancement. How does it boost consistency without needing expensive, step-by-step human feedback?
GRPO-CARE uses a dual reward system. You get the base reward for getting the answer right, but then they add an adaptive consistency bonus. And crucially, they removed that restrictive KL penalty.
Okay, but where does that consistency bonus come from, if not from humans?
It's generated internally, using a slowly evolving reference model, an EMA, or exponential moving average. The current policy's reasoning is compared against this stable reference, and the bonus is calculated based on how likely that reasoning choice is to lead to the right answer relative to the other outputs in its group, as judged by that stable model.
That's an incredible piece of engineering. So you're using the stability of an older version of the model to implicitly reward coherent thinking in the new one.
Yes, and it worked. It boosted consistency by nearly 25% on some really challenging multimodal benchmarks. It validates the reasoning process without needing expensive step-by-step supervision.
What this whole deep dive shows is just this clear, exciting move towards more efficient, more targeted RL. GRPO proved you don't need a huge critic model, which saves resources. And then the variants, Scaf-GRPO and GRPO-CARE, they show the focus is shifting. It's not just about getting the right answer anymore. It's about validating the logical process to get there.
Absolutely. When you look at the future of RL, it really falls into three big areas. First is the data source, moving beyond just instruction tuning data and using RL with advanced sampling like tree search on really out-of-distribution questions.
Second would be the algorithms themselves, right?
Sure.
Dealing with noisy reward signals. We know that even the best data sets have errors.
They do, sometimes up to 20% incorrect labels. So we need algorithms that are robust to that noise. This is where you see ideas like weak to strong alignment, where you use a weaker model's feedback to try and elicit the true capabilities of a stronger one.
So it's about learning to filter out that noise.
It's about filtering and compensating, yeah.
And finally, the reward function.
The reward function itself, right. The goal is to build reward models that don't just generalize to new questions, but that can give high-quality process feedback, fine-grained signals on the reasoning steps, not just the final outcome.
So the consensus is moving toward a world where the efficiency that GRPO started meets this high-quality, verifiable, and logically sound reasoning.
That's the trajectory.
So what does this all mean for you? Think about this. GRPO-CARE showed that reasoning coherence can be dramatically boosted without any explicit, costly human supervision. It was done with a simple implicit bonus just by comparing outputs to a stable reference. So what other implicit signals might be hiding in the data that could radically change how we train models to think logically? That's what you should mull over.